Bonjour les amis. Bonjour et bienvenue à Paris. Welcome to Paris. Welcoming you on an island, l'île de la Cité, the larger of the two islands on the Seine River in downtown Paris. Bonjour, bonjour, welcome. I hopped on a train this morning in the Loire Valley and arrived in Paris an hour and 20 minutes later. No hassle. For those of you who don't know yet, I have moved to the Loire Valley to tour the beautiful city of Tours, and I get to come back to Paris as a day trip or a weekend trip to visit my family and also to capture some images as I'll be doing this weekend for all of you. You probably recognize the spot. I am on the Île de la Cité, right outside the Palace of Justice, the former royal palace where French royalty ruled up until the 14th century when they decided to hop across the river and move to the right bank. On the right-hand side is the Conciergerie, which you can visit today. And on the left here is the beautiful Sainte-Chapelle, a masterpiece of Gothic art. You've all, I'm sure, visited the Sainte-Chapelle, the 2 floors, the beautiful stained glass art. And it dates back to the 13th century. It's incredible to think it was built in just 7 years. Just 7 years to build this masterpiece that people from the world over come and see. It's really hard to take a good picture of it, you've probably noticed when you were in Paris, because it's really encased inside what used to be the royal palace. And it was built by a French king known as Louis IX, who became later known as Saint Louis. Here on the Île de la Cité, everything reminds you about the history of Paris when it was first called Lutèce, Lutetia. You see the street name, Rue de Lutèce. This was the name of Paris in Gallo-Roman times, and it might be a surprise to some, but it wasn't really the largest city in this part of Gaul. Lyon was larger. It was called Lugdunum at the time. I just had a really nice café en terrace, a café noisette with a croissant to celebrate my return to Paris at this wonderful café brasserie, and had a great chat with the waiter and asked them if they were happy if tourists were back, and he said no, madame, the tourists are not back yet. So what we have here is a truck that is blocking traffic, and the police just pulled up and he's trying to get the driver to move pronto. The police didn't have to travel very far because the préfecture de police, the head of the police here in Paris, is right on the Île de la Cité. And off he goes. Pressure, pressure. Have that removed. Welcome if you just joined me. This is an impromptu stroll, and I'll be doing these a few times this weekend when I'm in Paris as I visit my family. So I was saying I was talking to the waiter at this cafe, and this brasserie typically gets a lot of locals here, local traffic, and people who work at the préfecture. But he was telling me at the préfecture and here at the Palace of Justice, and the waiter was saying that the Palace of Justice actually closes for the summer. It's very quiet in the summer. And so they're not getting locals. And because tourists aren't back yet, then it's still pretty quiet. And he wasn't very happy about that. I've assured him that based on my exchanges with the Friends with Véro community on social media, I'm pretty sure that things are going to pick up in September and October, and that tourists are indeed headed their way. So I see things haven't changed since I moved away from Paris a couple months ago. We still have a city that's a giant construction site just on this little square here. You have scaffoldings. This building here is part of the Tribunal de Commerce, Tribunal of Commerce, and it's in scaffoldings on the other side, the side overlooking the Seine as well. So lots of construction still going on. This won't surprise anyone who knows Paris or who has seen Paris in recent years. So I thought I'd take you with me on a little stroll, not very long. I'm meeting a friend for lunch on the right bank. I arrived at La Gare Montparnasse a little over an hour ago, and if you want to know the time in France, it's about 11 a.m. So the interesting thing about the Ile de la Cité, see here how we are Rue de Lutèce in the 4th arrondissement. You know those arrondissements, the administrative districts in Paris? Well, in fact, the Ile de la Cité includes two of them, the 1st and the 4th. So depending on where you are on the island, then you are changing arrondissement. On the right over there is the Préfecture de Police. We have a tour guide. She's speaking Spanish. So tourists are back. What are they talking about? Bonjour messieurs. J'ai pas le droit de vous filmer? Bon. Vous n'avez rien vu? Hop, hop, dites bonjour, say hello. Merci, bonne journée. This is a beautiful metro entrance, Art Nouveau style. You recognize them, they are all over Paris. At night, they're kind of creepy in the winter because they look like two red eyes. Do you see those lamps? If you see them at night in the winter, sometimes there's a little bit of fog and you feel like you are in the middle of a horror movie. So I just asked the gentleman belonging to the police if I could film them. We're not supposed to. And he kind of looked away like, do it quickly, which was very nice. Here we are at a place you recognize as well. In the background is the Hôtel Dieu, the oldest hospital in Paris. And here is the flower market, the famous flower market of Paris that is here throughout the week. We used to have a bird market on the weekends, but as of a few months ago, because France is getting much more, I'd say they're focusing now on protecting animals more than they were, and so the bird market has now stopped. So the people who used to sell birds either had a choice of staying here and selling other things, or I guess they just moved away. Birds and small critters as well. But the flower part, thank goodness, is still here. So here is the Préfecture de Police. It's looking good. Building is in good shape. But part of that construction is for them as well, because I see their name is on there. So this square has had a couple of different names, but it really is known as La Place Louis Lépine, L-E-P-I-N-E. Louis Lépine was one of the prefects of the city of Paris in the late 19th century. We always talk about Haussmann, Baron Haussmann is the famous préfet, but there were others. And in fact, Louis Lépine made his mark not only on the Ile de la Cité, but also at the head of the police forces in the late 19th century, early 20th, but also all over Paris. He had a reputation for being very firm. And in the late 19th century, you won't be surprised to hear there were riots, student protests. Just like in 1968, there were barricades, and Louis Lépine was instrumental in succeeding in curbing those riots. He also modernized the police forces. So the square is originally named after him, but then a few years ago, they also named it after Queen Elizabeth II. So you'll probably see both names if you look at maps. So I'm going to try and go through this. I know they don't always like being filmed, but I'll do my best. Yeah, I see a question, Sylvain, about the Quai de la Mégisserie, which was on the right bank, which was always famous for selling small birds and critters and cats and dogs. I think they're still there. Bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour.
You always say bonjour, it helps. So it's got to be pretty quiet because the kids are out of school. They came out of school on Tuesday, and so, locals are not around. This is the first vacation, summer vacation weekend, basically. I'm going to try and meander through this all the way to the Seine. Hopefully I can film. Look at how they've put some on the rooftops over there. You see? La végétalisation, that's a big new trend where you grow a lot of plants on rooftops. They're doing that all over France, all over Europe as well. So we do have those iconic fountains, and over there we even have some Wallace fountains, the ones you know as very Parisian. I'm going to need to cheat here and do this. There's no doubt those shopkeepers have suffered from all the lockdowns. They were closed for months, and you can actually see it because only a few of them are open. You see how quiet it is on the side? So it could be a time thing. They could open later, or they've just closed. Or maybe they're away on vacation. But here are your Wallace fountains. We have two of them. You remember these fountains were a gift to the city of Paris by English philanthropist and Paris lover Sir Richard Wallace in the 1870s, second half of the 19th century. And these are more Parisian than Paris itself, though you do find them around the world as well. And if they are authentic, if they are original ones, you will always find at some point, somewhere, you will find the signature. The guy who designed them, Le Bourg, and the date, 1872 in this case. They come in different shapes as well, but this is the most famous recognizable shape. There's another one over there. So you see, last time I was here, this one was open, and now it's closed, so that's very sad. I hope it's not permanent. I hope he's on vacation. But I can see the same thing happening on the other side as well. This is very quiet, actually, the quietest I've seen it since it reopened. Not to worry, there's always something to see in Paris. We will head to the Seine River, and then I'll cross over to the right bank where I'll be meeting my friend for lunch. And then I'll be doing some scouting for Sunday. On Sunday, I'm going to be popping up on YouTube for a surprise live stroll. I don't really have a destination in mind, but I will share a link on Facebook here, as well as on Instagram, so you can join us. And the stroll will start at 5 p.m. Paris time on Sunday. And then the rest of the time, I'll be popping in here on Facebook, as I always do, for little peeks into Parisian life. And voila, the Seine. Very quiet. Looks like Paris is still waking up. I could cross at this bridge, but I won't. You see the Hôtel de Ville, the city hall, right here in the background there. I think I'm going to cross from the other bridge. Le Pont au Change. You see the tower of the Conciergerie with a gilded dome. I'm sure I have a lot of my Aussie and Kiwi friends here this early in the day, so glad I can catch you live for once, because you tend to be asleep when I do my live streams. Very happy about that. Welcome to all of you, and I also have some European friends watching. Take a peek here. Yeah, it's a pretty peaceful scene, I've got to say. So you have those two famous theaters facing each other here. This one has been under renovation for years and years. Le Théâtre du Châtelet and Le Théâtre de la Ville, which was formerly known as Le Théâtre Sarah Bernhardt. It was named after this famous, very famous actress who performed in so many plays in the 19th century. We're setting up. It could be that people will be opening later today. Maybe I came just a little too early, and I hope that's the case. Flowers and a whole bunch of other things. No more birds though, like I explained earlier. They don't allow that anymore. La cause animale. They're very aware of the protecting animal causes. Woof, woof. This is the front of that building, and the plaque over there says Tribunal de Commerce, Tribunal of Commerce. It's pretty massive, and they're doing some work on it as well. The Conciergerie, I highly recommend visiting it if you haven't already. It tells a lot, you can learn a lot about the story of Paris, the history of Paris in that building. It was part of the former royal palace. You all know that Marie Antoinette, the French queen, was kept here in jail for a few months before she was executed during the French Revolution. And thanks to virtual reality, you can actually rent a device that allows you to see what her cell looked like in this building. But this was part of the royal palace, and in one of these towers, the king would keep the treasury, and it was just a very. It looks nothing like it used to. I'm sure it was massive. But this is where the history of Paris allegedly started over 2,000 years ago. Et voilà la Seine, the Seine River. I say allegedly because a few years ago they actually found traces of some early life, not just here on the Île de la Cité, the island I'm leaving, but also outside Paris in a place like Nanterre, a place named Nanterre. That's why I said allegedly, because it could have been that there were other tribes here living here outside Paris as well. This is a nice view of the site of the Conciergerie, the former Palais de la Cité. It's in very good shape. Paris does a good job at keeping the buildings clean, which is, I guess, the price we pay. The price we pay is construction. The price Parisians pay all the time. So no lines. I mean, if you've been in Paris before, there used to be long lines over there to get inside the Conciergerie. I've been here myself with tour groups for Rick Steves Europe, and it's very strange to see it this empty. But then again, it's been like this for over 18 months now, almost 18 months. So I'm kind of used to not seeing big crowds as I stroll around the city. I'm sure it'll be different this fall if everything works according to plan and we don't have any bad surprises. I don't need to elaborate. So here are those two theaters, Le Théâtre de la Ville. I can't wait for it to reopen. You see the sky kind of cloudy. We've had a very strange early summer in France and in parts of Europe as well. We had some intense heat early in June, and then it went away, and then the weather became really unstable. Rain, thunderstorms, sun. So it's not the type of weather you would expect in July. Look at Notre Dame de Paris with the giant crane above it. You can see the towers. And across from us, the bridge known as Le Pont Notre Dame, the bridge named after the cathedral. The right bank. We're now officially on the right bank. I'll be wrapping up in a few minutes. I'll take you to a quieter place to say goodbye. You can see, I mean, it's super quiet. Paris Plage, the big event, summer event. Paris Beach is coming this weekend. Can't wait to see what they're going to do. Definitely a sleepy Paris this morning. You can see the bouquinistes, those used booksellers, are closed as well, and they have been for a long time. Some of them do open, and they will as visitors, international visitors return, I'm sure. But right now, super quiet. Le Quai de Gesvres. That's the name of this quai. Gesvres. Quai de Gesvres. Merci, monsieur. So you'll see a lot of this in Paris. People love a terrace so much they will actually sit right on the street, right by the cars and fumes. You don't need to do that. There are a lot of places in Paris where you can have a peaceful table. I mean, listen to this. That's the construction inside the theater, and they're sitting right outside. On the right here is my one of my favorite Parisian HQs. You've seen me here often. Le Sarah Bernard, named after that actress I was telling you about. It's glorious inside. Great place to have coffee. Do you see her in the back there above the bar? That's Sarah Bernard. I was here just a month ago for lunch. If I didn't know where to go for lunch, that's probably where I would end up. Let's cross now. Oh, I know a quiet place. Right here. Le square de la Tour Saint Jacques, one of those squares or small gardens inaugurated in Paris typically in the 19th century. And la Tour Saint Jacques, the Tower Saint Jacques, is this tower right here, which you can climb if you book a tour. I expect the square will be super quiet too. There you go. Oh dear. I come from a fairly quiet city. You forget how loud Paris is. Let me show you La Tour Saint Jacques, built in the Middle Ages, and that's all that remains of a church that used to be here. Yes, you're right, there are beautiful views from up there, but you need to go with a tour guide. They only open it at certain times of the month. And it was closed for a super long time. And you need to be able, of course, to climb stairs. In fact, we'll take a look and see if they say when it's open. Look at that. So picture a church here. This is all that's left. And that church was financed by local butchers. In fact. Yeah, they had guilds, professional guilds in the Middle Ages. Let's see what it says. Open from du 4 juin au 7 novembre, from June 4th to November 7th. You need to go online. Desmotsdesarts.com is the website, or at the kiosk. I'm not sure where the kiosk is. It's around here somewhere. And then they do guided tours on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. So there you go. When you come back to Paris, you can take a look at La Tour Saint Jacques. I mean, can you hear the honking? It is incredible. Yeah, again, the views from up there have got to be great. Here's a plaque that honors one of the members of the Free French Forces, or the French Resistance, who fell in August of 1944 during the liberation of Paris. You may know that until armed forces rolled into the city to liberate it, Leclerc's second armored division, the people of Paris, the members of the French resistance, actually fought the Germans for about a week. And so this gentleman named Marcel Fauché, he was a commandant, that was his, just fell there on August 21st, and so he's remembered. What I'll do in August is I'll share again all the posts I did a couple of years ago on the events that led to the liberation of Paris, everything that happened in Paris for a week, day by day, and I'll share those posts again because it took me a long time to prepare them a few years ago, and I want you to be able to enjoy them if you weren't around when I published them. So I'll do that again to celebrate the anniversary of the liberation of Paris in August. So there you go, and when you're on this side it becomes crazy again because you are on the Rue de Rivoli, and you've probably heard that it's reserved for bicycles now in sections, but of course buses can still get through. It's a lot quieter than it was, but clearly the honking didn't make that obvious just a second ago. Quick little hello, bonjour les amis. Wonderful to be in Paris again, wonderful to see you, and I'll be popping in again this weekend, either later today or probably Sunday before I go on YouTube for that live stream at 5 p.m. So show up again on Sunday and you'll pick up the link a couple of hours before the live stream and you'll be able to follow me as I take you on a surprise stroll in Paris. But for now I'm going to say goodbye from the little square, the little garden at the foot of the beautiful Tour Saint Jacques. And if you've just joined us and missed this live stream, no worries. As soon as I come off the air, as you know, Facebook will just post the replay. Voila, one last peek at the Tour Saint Jacques. We've strolled all the way from the Ile de la Cité, outside the Sainte-Chapelle, and I hope you've enjoyed this little walk. À plus tard, see you later.